And once you awaken to that calling, it doesn't go away, it just amplifies. It causes you to live in that uncomfortable, unknown space. It makes you feel the purpose that you have to fulfill. And like, I can see it. Like, I'll get messages from like Black ravers or like, other Black artists who are coming up, and like, they literally say those exact words. I'm so thankful to have a Black queer person, woman, whatever, in these spaces. They literally say that verbatim, and I'm like, and I just cry. I'm like tearing up right now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Headliner Mindset Podcast. Today's guest is one of the most electrifying, fun, and powerful voices and artists in the dance music scene. Her songs have tens of millions of plays on Spotify and are getting played every night at clubs and festivals all over the world. She's also currently nominated to be the Female Artist of the Year at the EDM Awards in Miami. This is Kaleena Zanders.
Woo! I gave my own clapping, baby. My own cheers.
Let's go. Yeah, you can clap for yourself. You definitely deserve to clap for yourself because you are one of the fucking coolest people that I know. And if you can't tell, I'm really, really excited for this episode.
Me too.
A lot of people talk about having BDE, big dick energy. And I want to talk about having big KE, big Kaleena energy, because you straight up have like the best energy out of like anybody in the music industry that I've ever met. Like every time I'm around you, it's always just the highest vibes and the best energy, and you just bring it. And I want to know, like, where does all this energy come from? Because you're on another level, dude.
Well, I found out, I think maybe a few months ago, that I was always really, really hyper when I was a kid. Like, I can't perceive myself, but I always thought I was shy. But they were like, yeah, you would have moments where you didn't talk, but like you're always bouncing around, always singing. Like, and I was like, really? To me, singing was just like how I talked. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think of it as like this energetic thing flowing through me, So yeah. I was just always hyper, I guess. I started out the womb with that energy.
Totally. Just came out singing.
Yeah. Literally.
I love it. Do you remember, I think it was the first time that we hung out, we got lunch together in LA. Mm-hmm. Do you remember getting lunch with me in like North Hollywood?
Remind me of the place.
It was like an Asian spot. And
an Asian spot.
I'm bringing this up. Yeah, we ate frog legs. I don't know if you remember that, but that was like the first time we ever hung out.
Oh my God.
We ate frog legs together.
Yeah. Why did we do that? It's because of you. You're like a person who inspires people to do things like subtly. That's why.
I have that effect sometimes. I don't know. I just like to do some weird shit. I think we just saw them on the menu and we're like, that's hella weird. They're on the menu. We're like, should we get them? Yeah. Tastes like chicken too. They're not bad.
That's crazy. I haven't revisited any kind of anything like that since then. No frog legs.
I haven't either. I don't know. You brought it out of me. So I don't know. We just seem to have that influence on each other.
Yes.
Well, look, it's so good to see you. It's been a long time, and I'm really excited for the listeners to hear a bit about your story. And I'm also excited just to catch up because I see you've been doing some really cool stuff. I said, you were nominated for the Female Artist of the Year at the EDM Awards. That's pretty exciting.
That's insane to me. That's really insane to me. For many reasons, it's insane. Can I want me to share why?
Insane?
Okay,
I'm like not surprised at all. Of course you are.
Okay.
Why is this insane?
Because first of all, I made the switch to become like my own artist, no longer like, featuring hard out and being a part of everyone else's project, maybe like 2 years ago. And it's been a very unique journey, a lot of like shedding, a lot of positioning, and kind of I was kind of really scared, and I don't know, just a lot of things. And also being a vocalist and not a DJ, that as my main focus. I mean, I DJ a lot now, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
that wasn't my main focus. And then also, honestly, being a woman and being black and queer, I don't know. It's just like all those things are like, you know, you look at those things sometimes as like things that may hold you back, or not everyone else is the same. So it's just like, I don't know, it feels like a huge win just to be nominated, if that makes sense.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for you because you fucking deserve it. Like I said,
Thank you.
big Kaleena energy. It's undeniable.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
undeniable. Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about that story and your journey, because I did see that as well. When I met you, you were just doing top lines pretty much, right? You were
Yeah.
singing on other people's records, and now you've made that transition to being the headliner, doing your own shows, you're
Mhm.
DJing,
Mhm.
like you are the artist now, not the featured artist
Mhm.
anymore. And
Mhm.
I think that that's a place that a lot of singers kind of get stuck in, is just being
Yeah.
like the guest artist, the guest vocalist, right? So tell me a bit about making that transition, because we,
Mhm.
we don't see it that often, but you've done it really, really well.
Thank you. Yeah. Um, so it's funny because I wasn't even sure I wanted to make that transition at first. I was actually pretty comfortable in a lot of ways being a feature artist, because, you show up to the studio, it's low pressure, you sing your songs, write your songs, and then, they're coming out with whatever DJ, and you don't have to worry about pushing it, all those things. Like, so initially, I think after I got over a few things, like the writing style, basically the writing style in dance music, that's a whole thing. But after I got over that, understood how dance music is made, like I kind of, was like, yeah, I was comfortable. And then I started to get really uncomfortable because I was tired of not being able to turn all the songs that were successful for me into a career, a traveling career, or anything like beyond, you know, just being a feature vocalist. And, the payments and the respect, I guess, changes, like it's like, oh, okay, they think
Yeah.
of you as just kind of like not an artist, not a person who creates. And it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna get so and so on my track, and then like that'll be that. And like I just think I just got
Yeah.
tired of feeling like disrespected, because like,
Sure.
a lot of the tracks that I would do, would blow up, and it's just like, oh, like it's a little bit of a sting, to see people really
Yeah.
benefit off of your voice and
Yeah.
have huge careers, and
There's
it's just
there
like, oh,
yeah, they're sending those DJs off to go make 10 grand a night or 20 grand a night, all over the place, right? They're out there making
yeah,
a ton of it. And the truth is like the record wouldn't be big without your vocal on it if it was just a
yeah,
instrumental track, you know what I mean? So rightfully
yeah,
so, like you definitely deserve to get the light that you
mhm,
truly helped create as well.
yeah. And also, I had to remember. Well, I didn't have to remember, but I started to like realize how much I love performing because I used to be in a rock band, and I was the front woman, and I used to just always strive, I guess, to be in music in a band, or as an artist or something. I knew that that was something I did before, but I was just like, oh, I could forget about that. But it just started coming so like hard, like you need to perform, you need to perform, you need to
Mm,
perform, you need to get out there. And I did have some like awesome like performances at Coachella and EDC initially, like with Sunburn and AC Slater. So like, and going out in the clubs and just hopping up on their sets and singing. And so that kind of reignited that bug, and I just was like, you know what, I think I can probably do this on my own. And even though
yeah.
that, I mean, it was a thought at first, and a scary one, and it still really freaks me out, but like I was just
Mm,
like, let me just try it, because if I don't, I can't be in this other place because I'm not happy there, you know what I mean? So I was like,
yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to figure out if this thing is going to make me happy, becoming a DJ,
So
performing all the time.
yeah. So even though that thought was a bit scary, what gave you the courage to really actually go for it?
Kind of a few things. I actually remember very specifically having a huge breakdown. It was my birthday, and I was in the forest, and I got like some weird call. I don't know why I even answered the call, but I answered the call. It's kind of funny. Like it's like I answered the call and that was the
Yeah,
thing that
yeah.
told me, but it wasn't a great thing. It's just I
Call
answered
from the
that call.
universe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally the universe is like, today is the day you're gonna switch over and become a DJ. But yeah, I think it was just a combination of, people putting my music out or my voice out without asking me type thing. I had started to like do my own shows and stuff when I was working with the DJ, and the DJ became unreliable. And so that was also a thing, and I was like, I love playing instruments. I played them when I was growing up. So I was like, I could probably just make the DJ decks like my instrument.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all
Yeah.
right, the combination of, wanting to play out and the combination of having an unreliable DJ and then like just people screwing me over left and right. Like I'm just like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so how have you gone about really just creating demand and establishing yourself, really as an artist, like there's got to be a bit of a process to that too, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, I think the process, it got built without even me thinking about it. And it literally it has to do with, I'm thankful for this bit of it. As a feature vocalist, like I still would be so noticeable because I would be on people's sets singing in clubs, like all over, literally. Like I didn't even realize it's just have a natural pull to like, communicate and go out and like, hang with homies and all those things. And like, it just happened where I was planting that seed without even knowing by performing everywhere. Yeah. And then like, I just had the aha moment. I was like, wait a minute, I could, and then people, would start talking about, oh, Kaleena, like hitting me up, like, it was so great when you came out and sang, and, I loved it. You were the highlight or something like that. Like, that was like number one. You were the highlight, you were the highlight, you were the highlight. So like, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I should probably package this up and like make it something. And then I do have and this is not like a calculated thing, but I do have, I did musical theater when I was a kid. And so like, I understand what it means to perform. Even though I hated musical theater, by the way. I did not like it, but it did teach me a lot about like not breaking like character or learning how to like adapt on the fly, when things go wrong, or you just keep the focus on the audience, so like between packaging something into a whole hour and my ability to perform, I think that is kind of creating this demand,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love to see too that you were planting those seeds all along the way, because like, again, my impression of you has always just been that like Kaleena is one of the coolest people in the industry. Everywhere she goes, everybody loves her. She's always bringing that energy, and you've just been kind of doing that all along the way, almost like winning over everybody that you come across, whether that's a fan, whether that's an industry person, right? And it's like, it seems almost to me that like you've kind of done this effortlessly, but I know that can't be the case though as well. So I'm curious about what kind of challenges, you've had along the way, while you've made this transition too.
Yeah. I think honestly, the challenge is kind of the setup of dance music in general. Like, and I came into dance music not even really like understanding it, if that makes sense, initially in 2015. Like I was like, trying to be in a duo, and I was trying to do singer-songwriter stuff and blah, blah, blah. Had no understanding of what, from business to the fans to, going out. I didn't have any like clue about that. So like the challenges that I faced were like more like me not understanding it. But then once I understood it, I was like, it doesn't have to be this way either. You know what I mean? Like challenges are, as a vocalist, that's what is habitual for the industry, is to find a vocalist, get on song, I put out. Like just like it's just sort of like this very Neanderthal kind of thing, and they're not thinking about you at all. They just like, this is from the dynamic. I think it's changing a ton, but that's just how you're looked at.
Yeah. Seeing a shift in the industry around that.
Yeah, completely. And so those are the challenges I had at first, and not understanding why people didn't want me to be a part of their brand or something. You know what I mean? And then kind of like, I mean, the reason why I'm saying this is because you don't see a lot of us black people. You know, you don't see a lot of black people, not because people are intentionally are saying we don't want black people, but it's just like if the majority is, let's say, you know, if the majority is all white dudes, right? They're all going to promote their friends. They're going to be their friends, and a lot of times their other friends are the white homie dude. You know what I mean? So with the integration of like all of us, you know, black, Hispanic, blah blah, whatever, like all of us POC people, it's just like you don't see a bunch of us at the top as the same. We were not, you know, you don't see a John Summit unless you're Green Velvet, but Green Velvet's already been like doing his thing forever. Carl Cox has been doing his thing forever, but you don't even see any new black people coming up and doing that, you know, or new Hispanic people, or I'm just saying the whole POC people in general. And so that is seemingly a challenge because I'm a singer and I'm black and I'm trying to be seen in a place where
Yeah.
there's not a lot of us, you know. And this is why I say this is the grace of the universe. At first I wasn't even thinking that way, which I'm thankful for in a lot of ways, because if I had a little bit more like F these guys, they don't see me, I'm black, like, then I think my path would look different. I probably wouldn't be as kind and friendly with everyone. You know what I mean? But because I didn't have this sort of awakening until much later. And so I think that it's been a weird blessing for me to kind of exist amongst everybody. And like you said, I have good energy and all that stuff. And I'm accepting of everyone. Really, I am. I'm not like trying to make this a race issue. But when you realize that, though, it's a whole different experience. It's a whole, your mind is like, okay, there aren't too many people like me. And okay, this feels awkward, you know?
It's true. You know, we do hear a lot about how, especially the EDM space, is very much a male dominated industry. We also don't really hear, though, that it is a white dominated industry. It is a white male dominated industry.
It really is.
Like there's not that much color. Like if we just look, you know, kind of statistically for real. So I just want to, you know, I really want to celebrate you for being an innovator, for being a leader, for being that face, for being that badass queer black woman that's getting out there and showing people of color that like, yo, we got a spot here, and you're claiming it and you're paving that path. And that's so great for the, you know, future artists and future generations to see that, to say, hey, you know, hell yeah, we can do it too. Right. So I fucking love that.
Thank you. I mean, it's really comes from, I mean, like I said, I felt like I was walking through the industry really blind, and then I had an awakening, and now I understand why I'm here, if that makes sense. And also, I'm even convincing sometimes other black people to even like, because it's like weird, because like dance music started with black people, black and queer people, but now a certain group of black people don't like it. You know what I mean? So it's like it's like this weird challenge of like wanting the culture to be inclusive, but then the side you want to be inclusive, they're like, fuck this. I'm like, okay. You know, it's like, damn it, like. It's like, wait a minute, I'm trying to include, but, you know, like I said, I am more intentional now about, you know, how I'm playing, who I'm playing for, and where, you know, who's seeing it. And I am starting to be more intentional because a lot of my conditioning in the industry is working with white males. And I like a lot of them. A lot of them have been really nice to me on the flip side, you know, and really supportive. So this is no diss to any of like my friends, literally at all. It's just, you can just see what is happening. So, you know, I'm not trying to be like a vigilante or anything, but I definitely am trying to be more intentional about the spaces I'm in and how I'm appearing and, you know, what I'm doing. Just because we all need to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is that intention?
So I honestly really, really love tech house and like bass music. And there aren't any black people playing tech house per se. It's always like, you know, traditional house, or actually I know a little bubbling amount of us are starting, like in LA there's like techno Tupac and dances, and there's a few of us who play tech house, but overall, like, there aren't that many black people in POC who play it on a large level, you know. So I'm just kind of like adamant about, but I really love it. So it's really authentic. It's not like this like, oh, I'm gonna play tech house because there aren't any black people. It's just like I actually really genuinely love it. So,
I talking
mhm,
about getting that call from the universe. I think that you do have a calling, to create the space, right? And to help
yeah,
really like open the doors for others, like if you so choose to you can just kind of participate in the system that's already there. You can also go and really kind of rearrange the system and create some new lanes, and
yeah,
and that gets to be your role if you so choose to step up to that.
yeah,
And
yeah. It's
I see you
scary.
doing that.
It's
So
scary and weird.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more than just showing up and playing some fucking shows, dude.
No, it's
It's a
important.
mission and it's a purpose. It's important for sure. That's what I try to like influence, all artists as well, as it's like, yo, you can either just kind of show up, play the game, make the same shit everybody else is making, or like actually really get in tune with yourself and like what is your spiritual calling for being alive as a human right now. I think every single person has a very unique and specific gift that we are here to serve and we are here to give. And so, you got to
Yeah.
figure that out what that is, but you also have to have the courage to listen to it when it does show up. And that might mean
Ooh,
doing shit that's a
ooh,
little bit left
the
of center, being a
courage.
little bit uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Yes. That's all it's and once you awaken to that calling, you can't it doesn't go away, it just amplifies.
Oh,
And that the
yes.
you it causes you to live in that uncomfortable unknown space. It makes you feel the purpose that you have to fulfill. And like you said, it's difficult for me because I like everybody. Like I don't want to separate anybody from anything. I just want people to be fair, And I'm very
Mhm.
inviting and I'm very welcoming, But like I can see it, like people other like I'll get messages from like black ravers or like, other black artists who
Yeah.
are coming up and like they literally say those exact words. I'm so thankful to have a black, queer person,
Mm,
woman, whatever, in these
let's
spaces. They
go.
literally say that verbatim and I'm like, and I just
Yeah,
cry. I'm like tearing up right now.
you
Yeah.
can't ignore it. You can't ignore it,
No.
and the thing is too,
Yeah.
even if like once you have been called, like you said, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be just sitting there gently knocking at your fucking door, whispering in your ear when you try to go to sleep at night. It is always going to be in the back of your head. And if you are obeying it and leaning into it and listening to it, or if you're avoiding it, So I'm
Ooh.
excited for you. I'm so pumped to hear that, like, you have been, like, as you said, you've woken up to the bigger picture of what's actually happening here. Fuck yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Dude.
like just taken back. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. Literally.
You said you made a post on your Instagram fairly recently about how touring and playing shows and traveling has like really changed you.
Oh,
In what
yeah.
ways has it changed you? Like what was that post all about?
Well, number one, the best part of it is I think I understand dance music a whole lot more. Like I think I've re-fallen in love with dance music because of touring. Because
Hell
when
yeah.
you're playing, because you get to see in real time how people enjoy dance music. And the benefit obviously is if you've created a set or you're curating or playing in the moment songs that they really resonate with, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful
Hmm.
to see that in real time and you just feel like an amazing conduit for these like energies. So to
Yeah.
me, that's the number one thing that has like changed for me is I fall in love with dance music and I'm obsessed with it now. I would say the second thing is that it's helped me like reclaim my space and the space I've always needed to reclaim as an artist and what I've been trying to do before, like being in the rock band, being, a solo artist, whatever those things I was trying to achieve, I can now fulfill that too because I've sung on so many different songs. I was like, wow, I have a whole body of work, you know, 5 hours over, I can play whatever. So I've reclaimed my space as an artist and that feels really good. Um,
Mm.
and the third thing is the way I think I'm looked at in the industry now, you know? I mean, I know, believe me, I know there's like ranks and there's hierarchies and there's like different positions and people who are happy, some people are mad, because that's just like people are naturally going to be a little bit either jealous or some people are like, I've been doing this for forever. And then like, how come, they get a spot, I already know that like that happens because I hear it not to me directly, but I just know when something pops off or like people go crazy, they get all weird and the egos get all crazy. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, it has helped me like yeah, just be a different kind of game player in dance music.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
And I know that there are probably a lot of other, young singers that are out there right now that they're playing the top line game. They're getting those featured spots on other artists and producers' songs. But deep down, their dream actually really is to, be the artist, and they are an artist, but they probably have, a similar vision of being like, yo, I want to be on stage playing my songs to my fans and not just be the guest artist. What kind of tips would you have for those other, young singers out there that
Mhm.
might want to take that a similar path?
I think there's a couple different ways. I think featuring and, those collabs are actually really important because that does help build the conversation. It helps put some eyes on you and whatever.
Yeah.
Also, you have to decide, like, kind of early on, will I want to be an artist or do I just want to stay a feature artist? I think those are some things that you have to like decide early on, I think, because I mean, and that's what I would have done in hindsight. Because because it gets addicting, it gets a little bit addicting, like doing the feature stuff because you just like, it's kind of quick. You're like, all right, I sing the song. Ideally, they're paying you the money, and that's a whole nother thing. The
Yeah.
respect, that's, and then you could just go about your day and you build up your little cash and it's fine. But, you know, but if you want to be an artist, you have to like be more intentional about your collabs and features. You have to make sure you're putting out your music a lot and first and foremost before the features and things like that. It's just a little bit more
Yeah.
strategic when you're trying to become an artist.
Yeah. I think that part that you said about really making that decision, it kind of goes back to what we were saying before about just listening to your calling and answering that calling. Like if that is your vision,
Mhm.
if that's really what you want, is you want to be on stage and you want to be touring and you want to be like doing that, if that is the
Mhm.
calling that's on your heart and the vision that is really, whispering in your ear at night, then
Mhm.
you got to just first off make the decision that you are going to go
Mhm.
for it and that is going to be part of
Mhm.
your plan and your path and your strategy, because like you said, it can also
Mhm.
be easy to just kind of chase the money and ignore that vision and just say, you know what, well, this is good enough. I'm getting paid to make music. Like that's
Mhm.
cool. And you
Mhm.
can be happy and fulfilled with that perhaps to a certain extent. But if what you really,
Mhm.
really want is to actually be on stage, then making that decision and being really clear about that, I think is a really, really important thing.
Yeah, 100%. Because now, and I'm saying this, I didn't have that. I didn't do that early on, and partly because I just didn't know. I just didn't wonder. Sometimes depression, weird things will take you out of your alignment. So like, and sometimes it
Yeah.
could go on for a long time. Whatever. But talking about, it's very hard to shift out of feature to becoming an artist, not because the industry won't accept you per se. It's hard because you become so accustomed to saying yes to a lot of things. You know,
Mm,
you're like, yeah, no
yeah.
problem. I'll hop on that. Yeah, no problem. And then people create the habit of always hitting you up just to hop on something real quick, instead of looking
Yeah.
at you with delicately or as an artist or, hey, I want to collab with you and I want us to do brand for brand and like showcase our awesome talents together. So I will say that, if you're building up all of that, like, and you're trying to switch over, you have to set boundaries with people after a while. And that was really hard for me, you know, and sometimes that can be perceived as being, mean, or keep perceived as whatever it is. Like, oh, she's not going to do it for me now. It's like, well, no, because like I have to be an artist. And in order for me to do that, like, I can't just do everything, you know?
Yeah.
And
Boundaries
that's
are
the hardest
important
part to
for
navigate,
sure.
and it crushes my soul. Oh, not so much anymore. I've gotten used to setting boundaries a little bit more, and also I have a manager, I have a team, and a whole bunch of things. But
Yeah.
like initially, I didn't have any of that, and I was like
Yeah.
pulling my hair out, like because I felt like I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
letting the homie down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like a muscle. It's like flexing a new muscle. If you haven't ever really set strong boundaries for yourself in your life, and this goes professionally, personally, like a lot of us can fall into kind of people-pleasing tendencies. A lot of us don't really have a
Woo!
strong muscle
That.
around boundary setting. And so in the beginning, it's hard because it's like the same. It's like the first day you went to the gym, day you try to run, you're like, fuck, man, this is hard. But if you keep showing up and you keep practicing it, you keep flexing it, all of a sudden you're like, okay, cool. No, I know how to set boundaries, and I know how to do it gracefully, where it's like, no, it's cool. I can do it with love and we're good. I love you, but you know what? This just isn't in alignment with what I need. And it's a skill that you have to develop, but that only comes with practice.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough. It gets better. It gets better. You're right. But it's actually pain. Like sometimes when I would set the boundary, like I'd just be in my bed, not crying, but just like, oh, like almost feeling so just, I don't know, just weird and awkward for like 3 days, being like, I can't believe I said no to that person, but I don't really want to do it, but I can't because, like this whole battle.
Yeah.
And yeah, it used to rip me apart, but now, like you said, I've become stronger, but also I have now a team that believes in me as an artist, so it makes me believe more. That, I have my manager. He really, really, he's like, even times when I feel down, he's just like solid as a rock, ready to go, and he just like whips me back into like action.
That's so good. That's kind of the first time I think somebody's really brought that up on the podcast, which is worth being repeated, which is the importance of having people in your corner that believe in you, right? Like when your faith maybe starts to waver and maybe some of that self-doubt creeps in, maybe you don't believe in yourself as much, but you have a manager or other team members in your corner that are like, yo, no, you got this. We're doing this together. That's so important, because we all need that just in life in general. We all need our, cheerleaders and our coaches. I mean, that's why I do what I do, is to be that rock in people's life, just to say, hey bro, like you got this, let's go. I'm gonna help you keep your eye on the prize, because all of us start to drift off it sometimes. So that's really cool that you've been able to find that with your team and your manager.
Yeah. I thank him all the time and every day, even if we have to have like uncomfortable conversations, which is kind of often. Like Weezy,
what's his name? Let's shout him out. What's his name?
Travis Alexander.
Shout out Travis Alexander. We love you. Thank you for being the rock.
Thank you for being the rock.
BKE. Yeah.
That's right. He really, he came to me, but we've actually been friends since like 2015, and he was managing a few other artists, but I wasn't ready to like, do any of like have him as a manager, it was just friends. And then I was managing myself in 2018, 2019, and it was just so overwhelming. And then like during the pandemic happened, I was so thankful, because I could take a moment to like reset, and then in that reset, there he was.
What are some qualities that he has that you think are good qualities for people to look out for when they're considering working with a manager?
Oh, yeah. Somewhat, you have to feel comfortable enough, vulnerable enough to be your full self in front of that person, and have to be able to take criticism from that person. Criticism, or feedback, not necessarily criticism, but feedback. Because criticism is a weird thing. Like that could be detrimental to your health, but you have to feel like you can let down your guard with that person. And that isn't easy. And I'm not saying, and you should kind of never let your guard down in a lot of ways, but you should work to get, like he would tell me how stubborn I was in the beginning. And then he's like, dude, if you just trusted me. And I was like, yeah, but it's just hard because, in this business, I felt this kind of way, and coming to like trust you, it is going to take some time. And he was willing to wait for that because he believed in whatever that I had. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he was very patient with me and allowed me to just spitball all these like crazy things that, all my hurt and whatever. And then still was able to devise a plan amongst all of to me, it was chaotic,
Yeah. That's where the
And
manager gets to be a little bit of like the therapist as well. You know, that's honestly how I got into what I was doing. I was a manager, but I was like, I'm not actually that good at all the business shit. I'm really good at like
mhm.
the navigating the
Oh,
therapy and the emotional side of things. That's like, let me just do
mm,
that. So that's how I ended up kind
oh,
of going down this path.
what you just said was, I think, key too to finding a great manager. Find a manager who actually really is obsessed with the business of music, because
Mm,
he will like
yeah.
go like, I'm not his only client, but I hear like he'll go to meetings. I mean, he'll do things on even on my behalf. Like he'll just he's so proactive because he loves it. He loves the
Yeah.
everyday hustle and bustle of talking to so and so, and navigating that and positioning, and like like he likes it outside of me.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that having that kind of passion, like having a manager who has that kind of passion, who's just willing to just love music, because it's I feel like music is crazy. I'd never want to be a manager. Like I would never ever want to
it's
be a manager.
it's a lot. It's a lot for sure.
Woo!
For sure.
And we're all like adult babies. Fuck that.
That was it. Honestly, man, when I was managing a bunch of artists, like right when I first started, I was managing a bunch of DJs, and it was like I was just babysitting, just kids getting drunk every Friday night. It was just going out, being fucking wild. I was like, is this what I signed up for? Like, I'm literally just trying to like make sure these guys don't kill themselves. Like, this is wild. But
Oof.
I can't imagine
Yeah.
managing a rock band or a metal band. Like, I have some friends in the metal world, and they're like, yo, our whole job is that we got 5 dudes that we just have to make sure like they don't kill themselves. Like, that's our whole job. It's not even barely about, it's like 90% that and like 10% the music business. It's just dealing with fucking rock star drama, That's a whole different level.
Well, maybe that's why he likes it, because he used to be in a metal band.
Ah, yeah, he likes the chaos.
And oh yeah, he managed bands growing up, or like growing up in the industry, so
Yeah,
he likes it.
that's funny. That's funny. So
Yeah.
back to, artists that are wanting to come out of the top line world and actually really go and establish themselves as touring artists. What I'm hearing is that first off is just being clear about making the decision if that's something that you really want to do, learning how to start saying no to certain opportunities that might not be
Oof.
supporting you in getting there, having those
And
boundaries.
even when they look good,
Also,
even when they look good.
having a team, building a team around you, a team that really believes in you and supports you. What else is going to help people on that path and journey?
Honestly, mental health. Like I've recently started taking a therapist, and I wish I started doing this a lot sooner. Um,
Hell yeah.
yeah, I mean, and it takes a minute to. Sometimes it takes a minute to find the right therapist, but it changed me in a way, because I was able to have dialogue about my life on the outside, and it wasn't all in my head. You know,
Mm.
so, and sometimes my little qualms or whatever little things I'm like frustrated about, sad about, is just me trying to answer the questions inside instead of bouncing it off of someone else. And, this industry is very volatile, it's very stressful. And if you allow that to, if that's the thing that is, making you happy, or, if the industry and music are the only thing that makes you happy, then like you're kind of in for a roller coaster of emotions. You have to find
Oh
like
yeah.
you have to find other ways to like deal with it. And a lot of times it's therapy, because sometimes it's just, even if something you feel they did you wrong, sometimes it's just a projection. Sometimes it's just yeah, it's just like you have these like lenses on of what you think should have happened. But what happens
Yeah.
now is like I can analyze something a little bit better. Even if it is a situation that doesn't feel so comfortable, I can still analyze both sides and then navigate from there. And that's from because I'm talking out childhood issues, and it's like, oh, I only responded that way because this is how I set it up, because in my childhood XYZ happens. But a
Yeah.
lot of times it's just survival methods and that people have. But yeah, I would say find a good therapist and try to talk out as much as you can,
Yeah.
or
What
life
else?
coach, or
What
life
else?
coach like you.
Hey, hey. right now. Y'all come through. I got you. I'm not, it's interesting because, coaching is a bit different in the sense that, we're really looking at where you're at right now in the present. And then we're more so looking towards the future of like, all right, where is it that you want to go? We're really focused on goal setting and accountability. Cool, let's get you there. As opposed to with therapy, it goes a lot into the past of like, all right, this is where you're at.
True.
Let's go into the past and figure out what happened back then that's kind of contributing to this present state that you're in. So those are kind of the main, very, very generalized description of the differences just between coaching and therapy. Like I'm also, as a therapist, you do have to be a professionally, government certified, therapist, whereas coaching, anybody can be a coach. I do have a, International Coaching Federation, certificate and training cool. that I've done to be a coach. But that's that's kind of the main difference. But at the same time, there's this messy area in the middle where we all kind of do the same thing, which is just ultimately helping people feel better, so that they can get through the day and go crush goals and be the best version of themselves, by any means necessary.
Yeah. Wow. That's good to hear the difference. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, we'd all have both. It's like, let me have someone I can kind of dig up my shit with and like go into those deeper places. But then let me also have somebody here that's really kind of focused on the future and the goals that I want to help create. I mean, your manager and you're in a lot of ways is kind of as your coach, he's like, hey, where are we going? How are we getting there? I'm going to be here to,
totally.
Give you that inspiration and that confidence as well as that strategy, So yeah. We need that support. We need that support in all areas, mentally, emotionally.
Oh my God.
Physically.
I would not be anywhere without Travis. I wouldn't be anywhere. Now I'm doing, now I have an agent. I wouldn't be anywhere without them. Like I have a lawyer, like just all those things really like help, take a lot off my plate so I can be a creator, which is all I really want ever is to create and showcase my art and have people like it. That's my main goal.
Yeah. I'd love to hear a little bit about your creative process, right? Because you are just such an incredible songwriter. You're such an incredible singer. You're such an incredible artist. I have yet to see you DJ. I don't know if you're an incredible DJ. I haven't been to a Kaleena Zanders show yet, but I'm going to have to roll out and see you bring it. Right. But what's your actual creative process when it comes to writing? I'm curious to hear about that.
Yeah, so it has evolved over time. It used to just be me just creating out of nowhere, sitting at a computer, open up the DAW and just like, plunk out beats and just like express with no intention, which is something I miss. And then evolving into dance music, it was me just writing and trying to pump out, top lines. Then it was collaboration. So I learned a lot about collaboration with, being in dance music. And now collaboration is all I do with other writers is because I don't have time the way that I used to sit and reflect about myself to write something out, if that makes sense. Like I do a lot of reflecting in general, just I analyze, but like the session sometimes creates the time for you to sit there with other ones and just talk out your stuff. And then you guys are writing the song. And that's kind of like how I do it now because I'm on the road and then I'm managing this and managing that, like there's so many more variables right now that take my attention away from just having the artist brain and like just walking outside, just fucking smelling the tree, like all of those like more calm and like more just like, I would just say reflective times. I have less of that. And I still, I definitely take my daily walks and I do my journaling in the morning and those things. But the everyday creation, which is I am in the middle of finishing up an EP, my everyday creation has been collaborations and finishing up songs with producers and friends. Most of the people I work with are my friends and just kind of project managing in a lot of ways. But because I do miss the random inspiration and just sitting down at a desk. I bought a looper, a voice looper. And I am now gonna, which is, I gave myself a task because you have to give yourself a task. So I bought myself a voice looper. I'm gonna learn it and then start putting on the internet, like me with me singing my little ditties, with a voice looper.
Yeah, yeah.
So that to me will bring back like that sort of childlike, inspiration where you just do it just because, and it's not for the business of
Mm.
and the project, So yeah, and I set up my little station, and I just feel good about that. I feel like reinvigorated as a creator is just to like have instruments around me that I can access and just you know.
Yeah. And I see this a lot as a challenge for artists of when you're coming up, you kind of have all the time and space in the world. There's not a lot of expectations, maybe there's some pressure to succeed perhaps, but then it's like once you start doing it professionally, it changes because it's like now
Oh
is
yeah.
my business and this is my career and there's a whole
Yeah.
different set of just thoughts and expectations that come with it. I imagine that's kind of it's got to be challenging at times, and I guess I'm
Oh
just wondering,
yeah.
like, how do you get those thoughts out of your head though, where when you start to get
Mhm.
stressed out and it starts to become too much of the business? How do you balance that?
That's so funny that you say that because I'm always planting little musical babies everywhere. And like I work with people, and then for instance today I got back a track that I had worked on for a long time, and Coil, he like redid it, right? He like made it like disco-y and amazing. And I was just like, but I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like when people give you back things, or like a bouncer, like you did like a long time ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, and they're like, I just did this cool thing, and then like you're like, oh, I love
Yeah.
music, you know what I mean? Where
Yeah, yeah.
whereas like I have been spending a lot of time finishing my project because I'm signed to a label, and then that's very challenging too because like I have, reference points in myself of what I feel is authentic and also what I think could be successful too. And
Yeah.
I would say I even though I'm very like vocal and very stern about how I feel, I still am I think that I'm flexible a little bit to hearing how, because now you have to think about hits and what's going to be a good song, and like, how many people are going to listen to it, all that, those things. I think I'm relatively okay with that side of it. I have to just make sure that it follows like the certain guidelines of being soulful and I'm singing, not these little like flip and like sample bits, I have to make sure I'm
Vocal
telling a
chops and
story.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
as long as I'm doing those things, like, yeah, as long as it has these certain guidelines, I can still kind of give up a tiny bit of creative like oversight, just to make sure that we all, because I have to work collaboratively with the label, and then I have, everybody's
Yeah.
like thinking about the songs, but thankfully the songs are
Yeah.
good, and I don't have to like,
Yeah.
there's not too much critique, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, what I'm hearing here is that it really is all about balance, and this is the balancing act of balancing the art and the business.
Yeah,
Right? There's a lot of artists that are just like, yo, I love the art and I'm so artistic and like that's cool, but like they also aren't really running a business. They're not making money. They're
totally.
struggling and
Yeah,
they're stuck in that starving artist world. And then on the
totally.
other side too, there's people that are like just doing it for the business. It's super kind of
Oof.
generic. There's no soul, there's no
Oh
heart, there's no
no,
spirit in it,
that's a
right?
no for me. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
no.
yeah. I know that would never happen to you, but it does have to be, it has to be both, right? For it to really
Yeah.
truly resonate with people and have the right, have that soulful just spirit and energy in it, on the art side, but also still, kind of follow some of the guidelines and the structure of like what actually works and having the proper marketing and business
Hmm.
behind it. So it's the synergy of both of those. I've talked about duality multiple times before. It's just the duality. It is kind of the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang. We're artists, but we're also business owners. We are spiritual beings, but we're also having the human experience. It's not
Hmm.
one or the other. And so finding the integration and the synergy of both of those is where our we're going to really ultimately have the most success and be operating at our highest selves.
Yeah, true. 1000%.
Yeah.
It's a really fine line and a balance because, well, yeah, once you sign to a label, like they have their thoughts, and I have my own thoughts, and sometimes I'm a bit stubborn in it just because I believe in the track, but I generally feel like I'm not like tooting my own horn, but maybe I am. I really feel like I have a good like A&R sensibility about a track, if that makes sense. I feel like because I'm playing out, because I follow dance music, you know, I listen to the deep cuts and underground stuff to the middle ground, overground, and I try to like find my where do I live within all of that, you know, because honestly, I
Yeah.
still love pop. I like pop music. I love all things, and it has been a really unique journey trying to fit how you fit pop, soul, house, and radio records and be cool. You know, like
Yeah.
it's a big
Yeah.
experiment, you know, and it's
Yeah.
actually really fun and I enjoy the business. I enjoy being an artist. And I feel like I've already done the
Mm.
whole like stubborn artist, this is my craft. Like I've done that, you know, a million times over. And, you know, I do intend to be successful. I mean, I'm successful now, but I mean, there's a certain level of success I would like to get to for sure. And to me, that doesn't necessarily mean like money. It just means like, it means that a huge group of people all over the world are listening to my music and they love it. That's what I see. And obviously to get there are different ways, you know.
Well, I have no doubt in my mind that you are going to only continue to attract a bigger and bigger audience, and that more and more people are going to fall in love with you. I also do. I'm going to call it right now. I think you're going to win a fucking Grammy. I see that in your future. I think that is going to happen. I'm going to speak that into existence right now. We're starting the process of manifestation. Grammy is coming to Kaleena. Let's go, baby.
Ooh, ooh, yes.
Yeah,
Bless me.
my girl. God damn. I
Yeah.
love you so much, Kaleena. Thank you for taking the time to hop on today. Like, you are honestly just one of my favorite people. Like I said, big Kaleena energy. I hope that everybody can tap into that they can feel that they can bring some of that to their own life, because it is fucking contagious and it feels so good to be around. And I really can't wait to see you
Yes.
again someday, hopefully sooner than later.
Yes. Thank you. You are also one of my favorite people. And thank you. I've always enjoyed our talks. Like seriously. And I'd love to go for a hike. I don't know where you live, but I'd love to let's do some outdoor activity or get some frog legs again, whatever we need to do.
I'm in Austin right now, so if you make it out
Okay.
to Austin,
Oh,
we
okay.
will link up for sure.
Okay,
But
cool.
when I come back to LA, we're gonna go eat some fucking frog legs again.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Let's go.
Can you stand up?